I always thought betrayal was something you saw in movies, dramatic, far-fetched, the kind of thing that could never happen to you. But standing in my parents' living room that evening, staring at my fiancé and my brother sitting way too close on the couch, I realized the worst plots don't need a script. They write themselves in real time. Her name was Claire. We'd been together for 3 years, engaged for 6 months. I trusted her more than anyone. And my brother, Ethan? He was my best friend before he was my sibling. The guy I'd always looked up to. That night I'd come by my parents' place unannounced. Claire said she was visiting my mom to help with wedding planning. And I figured I'd swing by after work to surprise her. I walked in to find them laughing at some private joke, her hand resting on his knee like it belonged there. "Hey," I said, trying to sound casual. They jumped apart like kids caught with their hands in the cookie jar. Ethan cleared his throat, and Claire smiled too quickly, her voice suddenly high. "We were just talking about the seating chart." "Right. Because everyone laughs nervously and sits pressed together when discussing seating arrangements." I tried to brush it off, but that night it gnawed at me. My gut was telling me something my heart didn't want to hear. 2 days later, I found out the truth, not from them, but from a mutual friend who didn't realize I was still in the dark. "I can't believe you're so calm about Claire and Ethan," she said, sipping her coffee like she hadn't just detonated my life. My voice caught. "What about Claire and Ethan?" The look on her face told me everything. When I confronted Claire, she didn't deny it. She didn't even cry. She just said, "It was a mistake, but it happened more than once." Ethan's response? It wasn't supposed to mean anything. Nothing. That's what my relationship, my engagement, my trust apparently meant to them. Nothing. I told them both the wedding was off. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just ended it. But when I told my parents, I expected at least a flicker of outrage on my behalf. Instead, my mom frowned like I was overreacting. "Sweetheart," she said gently, "Ethan's your brother. Families go through things. You can't just cut him off over a mistake." I stared at her, waiting for her to realize what she was asking. But then my dad chimed in. "We all make bad choices. Claire is young, Ethan is young. Maybe this is something you can work past." Work past? I just watched the people who raised me choose loyalty to the son who betrayed me over the son who'd been faithful to them his entire life. That's when I knew. I wasn't just losing a fiancé. I was losing my family too. The days that followed were a blur of silence and unanswered texts. My parents stopped calling. My brother didn't try to apologize, and Claire's belongings sat in boxes by my front door like an unspoken reminder of everything I'd lost. But it wasn't the breakup that kept me awake at night. It was the way everyone seemed to rewrite the story, painting me as the one who'd thrown it all away. 2 weeks later, my mom invited me over for dinner. "Just the family," she said, "so we can talk." I walked in and instantly wished I hadn't. Claire was there, sitting at the table, laughing with Ethan like nothing had happened. My chair at the table had been moved, replaced with hers, while a spot had been set for me at the very end. "We wanted to give Claire a chance to apologize," my mom said, as though this was some noble act. Claire looked at me with the kind of calm you can only have when you've already decided you're in the right. "I'm sorry you're hurt," she said slowly. "But I think deep down you know things between us weren't working." I almost laughed. "So your solution was to start something with my brother?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "It's not like we planned it. We just connected." My dad leaned forward. "Son, we think it's best if you let this go before it tears the family apart. You don't want to carry bitterness into the future." Bitterness? I wanted to ask how they thought I could possibly feel anything else. But instead, I pushed back from the table and left. No shouting, no dramatic exit, just the quiet certainty that I was done playing the villain in their version of events. Over the next month, I focused on my work, my friends, anyone who didn't see me as a problem to be solved. But every time I thought I'd moved past it, a text or a phone call from my parents would drag me back in. "Ethan and Claire are serious now," my mom said one afternoon, like she was announcing an engagement. "We think it would mean a lot if you came to dinner to support them." That was the moment something inside me finally snapped. "Mom," I said, my voice steady but cold, "I'm not coming to any dinner, I'm not supporting them. and I'm done pretending this is okay." She sighed, the sound of someone disappointed that I wasn't fitting the script she'd written for me. "You're being stubborn. One day you'll regret cutting off your family." But I already knew the truth. I regretted ever thinking they'd take my side in the first place. 3 months later, I got the wedding invitation in the mail. Not from Ethan or Claire, from my parents. No personal note, no phone call, just a cream-colored envelope with gold lettering, announcing the union of my brother and the woman I was supposed to marry. I held it for a long time, the weight of it pressing into my palm like a dare. They actually thought I'd show up. They thought I'd smile, shake hands, and pretend this wasn't a complete betrayal. A week before the wedding, my dad called. "Your mother wants you there," he said, skipping any small talk. "It's important for the family image. People will ask questions if you're missing." I laughed, an ugly, hollow laugh that didn't sound like me. "You care about the family image, but not the fact that your sons have destroyed each other's trust?" There was a pause. "Sometimes you have to take the high road, son." The high road? That road was paved with my dignity, and I wasn't walking it for anyone. So on the day of their wedding, I did something I never thought I'd have the courage to do. I left town, packed my bag, turned off my phone, and drove until the city skyline disappeared in my rearview mirror. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I needed to breathe somewhere my family couldn't reach me. I ended up in a quiet coastal town, the kind with no chain restaurants and a single gas station. For the first time in months, I felt free. That night, I sat on the beach watching the sun sink into the water, and I thought about all the years I'd spent believing that loyalty was something you gave without question. That family would always stand with you, even in the worst moments. I realized I'd been wrong. Loyalty isn't about blood or shared history. It's about who shows up when the world is falling apart. And sometimes, the people you thought would stand beside you are the very ones pushing you into the fire. In that quiet moment, I decided something else. I wasn't going back. Not to my parents' house for awkward holidays, not to fake family dinners, and certainly not to hear about Ethan and Claire's life together. A few days later, I got a text from an old friend, someone I hadn't spoken to in years. "Heard about what happened. If you need a place to crash or just someone to talk to, I'm here." I didn't reply right away, but I smiled for the first time in a long time. There it was, the kind of loyalty I'd been searching for, in someone I'd never expected. Maybe I'd been wrong about a lot of things, but I knew one truth now. Walking away wasn't the end. It was the beginning. And as I watched the waves crash against the shore, I realized that losing the people who'd hurt me wasn't a loss at all. It was finally making room for the ones who never would.